nothing as we left the school and followed Papa to his cab. Nurshan and I sat in the back, not daring to speak. There was a small rip in the leather of the seat, and I poked my finger in it. The cab smelled of perfume. Maybe Papa's last ride was a lady who wore a lot of it. It smelled like some kind of flower, but I couldn't name it. I wished so much I was in a beautiful meadow right then, surrounded by sweet-smelling flowers, lying in the soft grass, looking up at the clouds. I tried to calm myself by thinking about this meadow, but I just kept feeling scared. Scared Papa might somehow find out I'd changed what Mr. Shanaman said. Maybe I should have felt bad about changing Mr. Shanaman's words, but I didn't. I only felt afraid. I don't mean that I think changing words like that is okay. I have to admit, it's sort of like telling lies. But I think maybe some lies are okay. Like in the play we read last semester about Anne Frank, and how the people who were hiding her family lied and said no one was in the attic when they really were. They lied to save Anne's family from the Nazis. Maybe I wasn't saving Nurshan from death, but I was sure scared to death of what Papa might have done if I hadn't changed the words. I stared at the back of Papa's thick neck. It was very red, and he drove in silence until he pulled up in front of our building. Papa shut off the engine. Then he put his arm across the top of the seat and turned his face to us, craning his neck. His dark eyes narrowed, and his voice was severe. "I am ashamed of this. To come to this school and find you in trouble, Nurshan. This does not seem like much punishment to me, this no watching television. You will go to bed tonight without dinner." He clenched his teeth. "I have lost money today because of you. And Maya, you must keep your brother out of trouble." Then he waved us away furiously, like shooing away bugs. "Go now, go." We went in the house, and Nurshan marched straight to the table in the kitchen with his books. He seemed to be in such a hurry to do his work, he didn't even take off his jacket. "Take off your jacket and hang it up, Nurshan." "Okay." I began peeling potatoes for dinner, while Nurshan hung up his jacket. Then he sat back down at the table. "Maya, Don't talk. Do your work." "But I missed the gymnastics meet because of you." "Watch the knife!" Nurshan looked scared. I glanced at my hand. I was holding the knife, and I'd been waving it without realizing it. "I wasn't going to stab you, stupid boy. I was only going to say thank you." Nurshan looked glumly at his book. I went back to peeling the potatoes. I'd had enough of him and his troubles. "For changing what Mr. Shanaman said when you told Papa," he said in a timid voice, like a little chick peeping. "It's okay, Nurshan," I sighed. "Just do your work." A few minutes before 6, we heard Mama get home. She came straight to the kitchen, and when she saw Nurshan sitting there doing his work, a smile came over her tired face. "Oh, what a good boy doing his work." "Not so good, Mama. Nurshan got in trouble." I didn't mind having to tell her this bad news too much. Not like when I had to call Papa. Then I explained about the fight, and how Papa had to come to the school. "Oh, my poor little one." Mama rushed to Nurshan and examined his hands. Tenderly she touched his face where it had been cut. Then she turned sharply toward me. "Maya, how could you let this happen?" "Me? I wasn't even there." "On the bus, when this boy is so bad to Nurshan, you must make this boy stop." "No, Mama," Nurshan explained. "He would tease me more if my sister spoke for me." "I don't understand this. In Kazakhstan, if someone insults you, they have insulted everyone in the family. And everyone must respond." "It's different here, Mama." Mama looked sad. She sighed deeply. Then the phone rang and she told me to answer it. Mama always wants me to answer because she is shy about speaking English. When her work calls, I always speak on the phone to the women whose houses she cleans and then translate for Mama. I translate their exact words, not like with Mr. Shanaman. But it wasn't for Mama. It was Shannon, and her voice was filled with worry. Maya, why weren't you at the meet? Is everything all right? Everything's okay. It was just Nurshan. Then I explained to her about what had happened. I hope I can still be on the team. Miss Ko is cool. Don't worry, it won't mess anything up. Shannon was right. The next day at practice, Miss Ko was very understanding. Practice was so much fun, I forgot all about Nurshan. And Shannon and I were very excited because Miss Ko said we were going to get new team leotards. After practice, we were waiting for the activity bus, talking about the kind of leotards we wanted, when two guys from the wrestling team joined us. One was David Pfeiffer, a guy who Shannon talked about all the time. She always said he was so cute, that he was awesome and incredible and things like that. She was often laughing and talking to him after our practice, and I think she really liked him. And today he was with Daniel Klein. Hey Maya, how was practice? Hi. I smiled at Daniel, but then I glanced away, pretending to look for the bus because talking to guys outside class always made me feel embarrassed and shy. The guys came right up to us. David smiled at Shannon. Wrestling practice was great. We worked on takedowns and escapes and then lifted weights. How was your practice? Fun. We spent most of it on the beam. I am still pumped from weight training. David grinned and picked up a metal trash can by the gym door. He paraded around with the can, then set it down with a bang right next to Shannon. Everyone was laughing, and then David bent his knees and bounced up and down on his heels and said, "Check this out, Daniel. Am I strong or what?" The next thing we knew, David had one arm under Shannon's knees and one arm under her back, and he scooped her up. Shannon squealed and laughed, and I was laughing watching them, when all of a sudden Daniel scooped me up too. "Short!" I shouted as he lifted me. I grabbed him around his neck to hang on, and my head was squished against his shoulder. He strutted around in a circle before he let me down. I could feel that my face was the color of borscht, and I flamed with excitement and embarrassment, and couldn't stop laughing from both joy and nervousness. "That's nothing, man." David crouched like a weightlifter while he was still holding Shannon and lifted her as high as his shoulders. It was exciting and crazy. Daniel and David showing each other how strong they were, first picking up Shannon and me, then putting us down, then picking us up and lifting us higher. As if Shannon and I were weights. After a few times, whenever Daniel picked me up, I was easily putting my arms around his neck. And I loved being his pretend weight, even though Shannon and I were both yelling for them to put us down. We didn't really mean it. Shannon is a strong girl, and if she didn't like being lifted up and held by David, there was no way it would be happening. I couldn't believe it, but I began to relax in Daniel's arms, and I laughed each time as he slowly turned in a circle. Then Shannon and I tried to pick them up, and it was hilarious. Every time we tried to grab them, they did wrestling moves on us, and we ended up on the grass in a big heap, like a litter of playful puppies. I couldn't remember a time in my life that had been so fun and so exciting. We lay on the grass laughing, and then David and Daniel jumped up and picked Shannon and me up again. But this time when we turned, as my face was pressed against Daniel's shoulder, I saw something coming toward the school that made me tremble with fear. "Daniel, please, put me down." My voice cracked as my breath caught in my throat. But Daniel didn't hear. Everyone was shouting and laughing, and he lifted me up even more as the lime green cab came to a halt in front of the school. The door slammed. Papa stood like a huge bull in his dark leather jacket and flung open the back door of the cab. "Maya Alazova!" His voice roared across the parking lot. He pointed at me the way one might identify a criminal. "Edi suda," he shouted in Russian. "Come here." Daniel dropped me, and I ran to the cab, whimpering and trampling inside like a dog caught stealing a chicken. Papa didn't speak. His silence filled every corner of the cab like a dark cloud, slowly suffocating me with its poisonous rage. Papa's neck was deep red, and the skin on the back of my hands tingled with fear. I lay my head back against the seat and closed my eyes, squeezing them shut, and took myself far away until I was safe on the bars at a beautiful gymnastics meet in the sky. I swung back and forth higher and higher, and then I released and flew to the next bar through fluffy white clouds as soft as goose feathers, while the air around me was sweet and warm and my teammates cheered for me, their voices filled with love. We screeched to a stop in front of our building. My head slammed back against the seat. When I struggled from the taxi, it was as though I had fallen from the bars, crashing down onto the street, where I splintered into a million pieces. And as hard as I tried, I couldn't get back on the bars any more than I could stop the hot tears that spilled from my eyes. Papa roared in front of me, and as he charged toward the door in his glistening dark leather jacket, he again seemed transformed to a creature that was half man and half bull.